Hey, welcome back to Cultural Catholic. First video in a while. By that I mean a week, and I will be more reliable this week. So today we're going to talk about a couple of holidays that are happening or have happened or will happen, specifically Hanukkah and Christmas. Now, the way we view these two holidays, it's like we view them as super important to the religious traditions that practice them. And to an extent, that is completely true. They're both very important religious holidays. However, the way that we think of them is not actually how the way we Americans and, from my perspective, not Christians think of these holidays is a little bit different than what they actually are. Now, I'm going to start with the least controversial of the two, Hanukkah. Um, Now, it is part of the religious traditions in Judaism. It is established. It's been so since the um, Maccabean dynasty in Israel. However, it isn't on the same level as some other holidays. Now, you may be wondering why. Isn't it super important? It happens around the same time as Christmas. Christmas and Hanukkah, they just so happen to line up a lot because Hanukkah and religious holidays in Judaism are determined by a lunisolar calendar, which basically means that the calendar follows the sun and moon. So most times Hanukkah will be around Christmas time. Sometimes it won't. A few years back, it actually occurred during Thanksgiving, which is something that is fairly rare, but it does happen sometimes. Um, Now, the reason that Judaism doesn't view Hanukkah the same way as it views its other holidays, like Passover, is because it's not something that was ordained by God or comes from the time of the law giving, for lack of a better term. Now, what that means is that holidays such as Passover and several other holidays that you find in Deuteronomy or Numbers or all of those early books that are attributed to Moses in the Bible, or the Tanakh, as that part of the Bible is called among the Jewish community. Um, those holidays are much more important because they are given to the Jewish people by God, um, and so those hold a much more important significance and greater significance to the Jewish people as opposed to Hanukkah. Hanukkah was started by the Maccabean dynasty, humans. As now again, religion is a human construct. I kind of agree with Reza Aslan in that religion is the language we use to commune with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I personally ascribe to the idea of God, personally, but that is neither here nor there. So basically, within Judaism, Passover and things in the first 5 books, any holiday that is there is considered much more holy because it is technically ordained by God, even though in reality it was probably created by humans. Whereas Hanukkah, which is recognized in the Bible as being created by humans, is not as important as other holy festivals or holidays. Now, on to Christmas. Now, Christmas is something that is original to Christianity. It started out, it's basically part of the tradition. It is officially recognized that the birth of Christ happened on X day. However, that X day kind of adjusted as the number of non-Jews or Gentiles increased within Christianity, and that was actually fairly quick. So right now it's Christmas time. December 25th is going to be the birth of Christ, according to the Catholic and Protestant churches. However, it probably isn't when Jesus was born. If the and again, as a Christian, I subscribe to the belief that Jesus is real. There, beyond the fact that there's actual historical evidence of a man named Jesus who lived in Palestine at around the turn of during the first century BCE, CE. Odds are he probably wasn't born in the winter, because even though he lived in like a desert area, it actually gets pretty cold in winter in the desert. So odds are he probably would have been born in spring. The reason that that Christmas happens around this time, is because a lot of the early pagans that were drawn into the Catholic Church, or Christian Church as it was called at the time, were Greco-Roman pagans. And they had a holiday around this time called Saturnalia. I was a big drunken, hedonistic orgy of the flesh, but it was changed over time by the influence of Christmas, or Christianity. Another important thing, the Christmas tree, the evergreen tree that we have. Not a lot of evergreens in the desert in the Middle East. That actually stems from a tradition called Yuletide, which was a Germano-Norse pagan tradition to bring in an evergreen tree to kind of appease Odin and to represent everlasting life. Now, everlasting life in the form of a tree and everlasting life in the form of Jesus, that kind of melded fairly well. However, that is kind of where the similarities stop, because one was meant for the chief deity of the Germano-Norse pantheon, whereas Jesus was one of three heads of one god. So those are some important distinctions that we need to understand about these holidays. Now again, they're great to experience. The idea is bringing people together, the spirit of giving, things of that nature. That is the point of it. The way we celebrate it, and the kind of importance that is denoted to it is the thing that we have to think about with these more adapted traditions, as I would like to call them. So yeah, that is Christmas and Hanukkah. I look forward to the flame war below, and there'll be some granted it'll be Wikipedia, but use the notations, the annotations, to kind of suss out everything. And then, of course, look in whatever version of the Bible you have. You'll see that there is no mention of the mentionings in Maccabees, the mentionings in the New Testament about these holidays. But you'll notice differences between things, especially in the Old Testament with or the Tanakh, the differences between the creation of the holidays, the Jewish holidays, earlier in the tradition from the books of Moses, as opposed to the tradition in the book of Maccabees. So yeah, that's it, and I will see you on Wednesday with a couple of new videos.